She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Toxic relationships, piles of debt, hating life. Have you ever been there? Yeah, I'm sure you know somebody that has. Hi, this is Dani Johnson. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We're going to tackle those specific things today on today's show. You know, a lot of people are out there wearing masks. There's a lot of people out there that are working so very hard to maybe cover up how they're really feeling inside. And here on the Dani Johnson Show, every single day, we are bringing you content that's helping you take off the mask, as well as some of the heavy burdens maybe that others have put on you or that you put on yourself without even realizing that you put on yourself, so that you can get yourself on a path that you want to live. There's a destiny that is calling out to you. And that destiny also involves success in all areas of your life, that you have good relationships, that you are able to mend some financial ruins maybe, or rebuild some financial walls that are good and healthy for you, as well as a career that is blessed. That doesn't mean that you're going to have a life with no trouble. Don't misunderstand me, friend. No, it means that, yes, in the trouble, you'll have solutions, you'll have wisdom, you'll have peace. Even in the trouble, the struggles, the hard and harsh times that all of us face in our lives. You might be in one of right now, or you maybe just came out of one right now, or you might be facing one here real soon. The bottom line is that all of us human get our fair share and doses of trials and struggles and sufferings. It's part of life. But how we deal with those kinds of circumstances determines whether or not success is the fruit coming out of it. And so every single day, friend, you and I have an appointment at an appointed time for us to tackle these kinds of things. And so today, I'm so excited to bring to you two guests that have overcome so much. You are going to be so inspired when you hear these stories and hear how they were able to overcome terrible things, toxic relationships, bad financial issues, bad businesses, just everything just wasn't going right. And you're going to be inspired by the steps that they took, and you're going to know that no matter what it is that you're facing, you're going to be able to get to the other side, just as these individuals were able to get to the other side. So my first guest today is Crystal Parrott. She's actually been a part of DaniJohnson.com since 2007. That's a long time. We're going on 8 years that she has been feeding from the information that is on the website, DaniJohnson.com. When she first came to us, she was one of those in very horrible, toxic relationships, a really bad financial setup, meaning business was completely failing. And not only that, but she had a whole lot of debt and could not figure out how to make life work for her. But instead, life just felt like a constant struggle. So I'm excited to bring Crystal Parrott to you as she's a very successful businesswoman today. Her whole life is completely different. There's nothing that even remotely looks the same. So Crystal, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Thank you, Dani. Thank you for the honor and the privilege to be on the show with you today.
We're excited to have you. We really are. Okay, and I think it's ironic because just yesterday you and I had a business consulting appointment, which was perfect timing, right? Because we're all fresh. I'm all caught up on everything that's been going on in your life. And I really enjoyed spending that hour and a half actually talking to you yesterday. So Crystal, let's go ahead and talk about where you were back in 2007 when you first came out to First Steps to Success. What was your life? What did it look like? What were the relationships? What was going on with your finances? What kind of debt were you in?
My life was pretty much a mess in every area. I was deep in debt. I had over $100,000 worth of debt. Actually, more than $100,000. I was working 40 to 60 hours a week, making virtually no money. My relationships were all very toxic with my family and my friends, and they were not good business relationships that I even had running a business. I had this amount of debt that I thought I would never get out of. I left teaching. I was a teacher for 6.5 years, and I had just left teaching 1 year prior to plugging into the system. And I had no business training. I had no clue how to run a successful business. I was very critical and condemning and not very encouraging, and I wanted to have a business, but it was really all about me and not really, I thought I wanted to help people, but I really had no clue how to do that.
Yeah. And so obviously that had to be frustrating. I mean, did you ever think that this was just the way life was always going to be, or did you have a little bit of hope?
I was probably pretty hopeless, really. I mean, I was just like month to month, it was the same. You know, you forget really where you came from a lot of times. Like, you know, sometimes it was just my business was virtually making no money at all, you know, so it would be like, do I pay the rent, do I pay the food, or do I not drive as many places and walk so that I can meet all the bills? And you just get in that cycle, and you don't even, you kind of just like get used to it.
Yeah.
And you don't even think about getting over, think about anything else until someone comes along and like lights up your world and goes, oh my goodness, there's something else other than this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, that's so interesting. I love what you said, because today you're a very successful businesswoman. You're making six figures. You've paid off all kinds of debt, you know, so you have this amazing turnaround story, and you've improved relationships, not only professional relationships, but personal relationships, especially the relationships that you have with your parents, which that was like the key number one most toxic relationship you had in your life. And so I love what you said. And I'm glad I asked you this question, because it's, you know, did you have a little bit of hope, or were you hopeless? I remember meeting you for the first time and seeing hopelessness written all over your physical body and so much bondage. But what I want to point out that you said that I think is important for everybody to hear is that you were in a cycle. It was a habit. It was a habit of financial failing. It was a habit of business failing. And so when the money isn't there, you just continue to shrink back, instead of looking for solutions where you could actually grow your financial positioning. And so, you know, it's one thing if you're making a six-figure income, then, you know, you shouldn't be spending like an idiot. But when you aren't making much money at all, and now you're shrinking even more, there comes a point where you have to go, I have to fix this. I've got to make more money. We have to increase our income. And you were living a very, very meager financial life at that time as well. I mean, you're making less than $1,000 a month when I met you. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, way less, probably, way less.
You know, that's crazy. And, you know...
But the thing was, before that, I had a job where I was making, like, a very good income, and I was still just as terrible with the money when I had my... I was a specialist in teaching, had a specialty in French, and I was just getting myself into as much debt then as when I was making no money with the business.
Wow. Okay, so you you come out to First Steps to Success, and... what was the eye-opening thing that caused you to change? Like, what brought you to the revelation that my relationships are toxic, I'm going broke, I have six figures in debt, my life sucks? What kind of brought you to the place of wanting to change?
I think it was the stories. I mean, you see these people, and, you know, I'm the kind of person, I'm like, does it really work? Like, is this lady for real? Like, does she know what she's talking about? Mm-hmm. You know, and you see all these people who stand up and they you know, justify, and they're like, this is amazing, it works, and I did this, and I did that, and I paid off this much debt, and I fixed my marriage, and you're like, come on now, really, from this? So I was like, well, I've got nothing to lose, so I'll give it a try. Mm-hmm.
And I guess it worked, because you make a lot of money every year now. You have two companies now, which is awesome. And I'm excited about your newest business endeavor with, how do you explain what you do, actually, with the blood?
So we do live and dry blood analysis. So we actually we're actually doing what maybe a medical doctor would never do. We're actually showing you the blood, showing you what's inside, because life is in the blood. So we're looking at it and showing you the condition of your cells. We're showing you the things that shouldn't be there, the things that are supposed to be there that are really not there anymore. And we're giving you a step-by-step analysis of what's actually going on inside your body and finding the root of your issue, instead of just giving you a bunch of Band-Aids to put on. Like, I had a whole bunch of Band-Aids in every area of my life before coming to First Steps.
Mm-hmm. So when you came out of First Steps, one of the relationships that you focused on to improve was which one?
I would say with my family first. Well, first of all with God, and then second with my family, because my father, my mom was sick at the time, so she didn't really have much interaction with us, but my father and I we were like a cat and a dog, and, you know, I had big nails. So it was awful. And now the first thing that I look forward to in the morning, when I'm out and traveling, is calling my dad, finding out how things are going, how he's making out, if there's anything I can do for him.
Wow. What changed that, though? I mean, so if you fought like cats and dogs and you had the big claws, what caused you to change that relationship?
I think that it was for sure it was forgiveness. Mm-hmm. I'd say the key pivotal point was probably back in 2008 in April. I actually got a picture of the things that my father went through because I was so judgmental of I felt like I always had to do right, and I could never do good enough. It didn't matter if I had straight A's or I was, running a successful, even if I ran a successful business, I just felt I could never do anything right for him. And at one of the events, I actually got a picture of my father and how my father was treated when he was a young child. And it just broke me in half of seeing how my father was treated and realizing that he just didn't know any better. Yep. And, if I could have love and forgiveness for him, I might be able to help him and, get somewhere else myself.
Right. And so you had compassion, rise up in your heart when you kind of had this physical picture into your mind of how he was treated, how he was put down, how he was criticized, how he was condemned. And that's where he learned how to do the same exact things to you, or to make you feel like you would never be good enough, and that to not encourage you, but instead to discourage you. And so once you saw that, my gosh, my dad as a little boy went through the same exact thing, and it does, compassion rolls up in your heart. And when you think about a little kid being badly mistreated, same thing happened to me, Crystal, and I'm sure it had to do with something where I share my story about that, where, man, when I forgave my dad, I had heard the stories my whole growing up life about the abuse that he suffered through and the screaming and the torment that he had suffered as a kid. And before I forgave my dad, I would think this, I'm like, good, he didn't get it hard enough. The beatings, oh well, he should have been beat harder. And again, I hated him. And so my heart was so hardened towards him, and I had zero compassion. But once I stepped out in faith and I began the process of forgiving him, then all of a sudden, that same kind of picture, Crystal, that you were just talking about, that same kind of picture rolled up in my head, and I went, oh my gosh. And I just started bawling because again, I knew the story, but now, wow, I would never want a child to be treated like that, including my father. This is Dani Johnson. We're going to talk more about your success right after this.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success in Orlando, Florida. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org. Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. The most common question I get usually are from people who are trying to juggle their life. They've got kids who are involved in all kinds of activities. They've got business or their job, finances, trying to get out of debt, plus all their church activities and all the volunteer activities. And they're pulling their hair out going, how do I juggle this all? Man, I once lived just like that until I learned Time Secrets. Time Secrets showed me how to be able to cut my hours from 100 hours a week that I was working down to 20 hours a week and tripled my income as a direct result with what I learned. Time Secrets also showed me how to get my priorities in order, which healed up my marriage. And I became a mother that I was proud of versus becoming the mother I didn't want to be. And so if you feel like your world is running around in all kinds of different circles, you can fix that. Call 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880 for Time Secrets.
No donkeys, no elephants, no blaming, and no excuses. Just real solutions that will really change things. That's real leadership. It's the Dani Johnson Show.
So what's the big deal, Dani? So why would I have to forgive in order to be successful? Because when you have a heart that's hardened towards a particular gender, or let's use the father as an example, which is what I was just talking about. And joining me today is Crystal Parrott from Canada. She's one of our clients, has been with us since 2007. Started off as a very bitter, resentful, not functional, but dysfunctional woman who had toxic relationships with her family as well as with her business associates. And today the woman has a completely different life. Not only did she have 6 figures in debt, not only did she wasn't making less than $1,000 a month. Last year she made $140,000 worth 2 businesses that she has. Very successful woman. She has paid off tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt and has mended relationship. She's no longer this toxic person feeding more toxicity in the world, but instead being used to help bring healing to people. And why is that important? Because, when we walk around, like, for example, what Chris and I were just discussing was that we hated our fathers. And what does that do? Well, this does a number of things. It creates belief systems in us about authority, number one. Number two, men. And so therefore, in fact, Crystal, let me ask you this question. Did you have a hard time working with men prior to working through the inner healing of forgiving your dad?
Oh, yeah, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, and that's for all of us. If we've got father issues, daddy issues, then we cannot be in a relationship with other men, whether that be personal or that be professional. And that's why forgiveness is the key to success. It really is. Even though our world, our society today is telling you that success means a yacht, it means a Ferrari, it means a mansion, I'm here to tell you that we see those lifestyles of the rich and famous, and it turns out what? Their lives are a mess. You don't want that kind of a mess. I know you don't want that kind of a mess. Maybe you're in the mess right now. Maybe the thing that you must look at is, wait a second, what kind of success do I want to have? Do I want to have the success that has terribly toxic relationships attached to it? Or do I want to learn skills so I can learn how to have harmonious, peaceful relationships? And that doesn't mean that 100% of the time everyone's going to act right. I don't act right 100% of the time, and neither do you. But what that does mean is that we can prevent being a dummy and treating people poorly by getting through some of our heart issues that we have. And what I've noticed, and what I'm even noticing even now with Crystal, who's been a client for 8 years, going on 8 years now, is that as she began this process of growing personally and forgiving even just her father and then her mother and then other family members, she began to treat people differently. Now, Crystal, you couldn't get a client to save your life 8 years ago. Now, what is your client? It's true. You couldn't. I remember coaching you. Okay. And as you went through this personal development, this transformation at First Steps to Success, everything began to change. And so with the business, like, people would run from you, not return your phone calls, want nothing to do with you. What does your client relationship look like today due to A, that personal development, and B, you learned some really powerful communication skills at First Steps and creating a dynasty. So what is it like now?
It's amazing, actually. Even we were just talking about my father. My father loves to help with the business. He loves to do anything he can, even buying supplies or, taking care of billing or mailing or anything he can do. And he's actually involved in my other business. And the other clients, we run on referrals only, so I don't spend a dime on advertising. We could be booked, 2-3 weeks in advance. People have come from all over the world. We've mailed out 200 kits in the mail last year to Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia. It's just, it's crazy. People are always sending me nice messages. The business was nominated for an award for excellence, which someone in the community did, which would have never happened 8 years ago for sure.
People avoided you like you were the plague 8 years ago, and today your community has nominated your business an award for excellence?
Yeah. Crazy.
And you have people fly from all over the world for you to read their blood.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Right? I mean, you learned communication skills that taught you how to build trust with people. You learned how to be able to serve them in such a way where you've become an advocate for them. You are a trusted advisor for them now. And you were a toxic woman that no one wanted to be around. Listen, all I know is if you're listening to me right now and I wish you could have seen Crystal back then. In fact, part of our conversation yesterday through our business consulting appointment was reminding her of how far she's come. Like, girlfriend, do you have any idea how annoying you were? Do you have any idea how much you have improved? Because I'm telling you, she's not the same person. Like, we are a completely different human being. That's a transformation. So listen, if you are right now in that place where you're hopeless financially, where you're hopeless with your business, you're hopeless with your relationships, you're hopeless with your health, I promise you take the steps that Crystal Parrott took, you're going to turn your life around just like she did. This is Dani Johnson. We're going to continue with more tips about success right after this.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need. Stay right here for more of the Dani Johnson Show.
You want to succeed, right? But you do not want to fail God at the same time. There is a way to succeed from a biblical perspective, and it's far greater than anything you could ever imagine. Over 500 scriptures I studied to study money, everything that the Bible said about money. That's in the first couple chapters of Spirit-Driven Success. Not to mention leadership, working with people, growing a career, being used mightily in the marketplace, which is where Abraham, God used him in the marketplace, and Joseph, God used him in the marketplace. Moses, God used him in the marketplace. Daniel, Solomon, really all of the greats of faith, most of the greats of faith throughout the Bible, they all were in the marketplace. And God wants to show you how you can be used mightily by him in the marketplace. Right here, Spirit-Driven Success is where all of my notes are on how you can do that. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Spirit-Driven Success today.
This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Underworked, overpaid, no. Overworked, underpaid. Have you ever felt like that? Yeah. Hi, this is Dani Johnson. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. So many people out there make that same exact complaint, that they feel like they are underpaid and overworked. Well, that's exactly where Marcelo found himself. He's here today joining us to share an inspirational story about how you can go from that place of nearly like stuck, lost, not being able to see or can't tell up from down, and the frustration that comes with that. He's joining us today to share his story all the way from Torrance, California. He has an amazing Italian last name that I am not even gonna try to pronounce. I'm gonna let him say it because he says it so very beautiful. So Marcelo, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Dani.
Okay, you gotta hear the last name. Give me the last name.
Okay, it's Cacciagioni.
Oh, say it again.
Cacciagioni.
Oh, isn't that amazing? Now, you see, what naturally happens to me, say it again.
Cacciagioni.
When I hear that name, my fingers all go together and my eyebrows are crossed. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like some good food.
That's what I was trying to tell Raven earlier. You got to say like spaghetti sauce.
Spaghetti.
Hands in the air, wavy. Spaghetti sauce. Cacciagioni.
It seems like it should be a name of a really good dish, honestly. But in all seriousness, okay, so you heard about our website, DaniJohnson.com, fairly recently, and you've tapped into First Steps to Success. And I want you to explain what your life was like before that and what were some of the struggles. And then I want to hear some things that you changed and what the results have been.
All right. So, my wife actually heard about Dani Johnson about, 2-3 years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
it was always that, nagging, come on, you got to plug in. You got to try this. And it was, it's great for you. It's not for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really interesting. About 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, I was working at this job, and it was a salary job, and they expected me to work 80, 90 hours a week, but only wanted to pay for 40. And I'm a workaholic, and I'd throw in. I'd always bend over,
Wow.
And really, before attending my first event, my life was really anything but ideal, To any outsider, it looked like I really really had my life together, you know, and I was always so timid. I was always so scared. I didn't really let people in. You know, I had a wonderful wife, a beautiful family. Everything was great. The truth was that really inside I was lost and alone and a slave to my addiction. You know, I was on the road to losing my wife and kids, a messy divorce, and I think really in hindsight, like the worst of it all was that I hated God, church, religion, and myself. I was really never willing to let anyone see the real me, and I lived a life of lies upon lies upon lies. It was that circle that just kind of kept going.
Wow.
You know, but since plugging in and working on skills and going to these trainings and listening to these lessons over and over and over again, I've really been liberated. You know, I'm liberated by the chains of bondage. You know, my marriage is healing more and more each day. But I think really above all else is that I've really welcomed God into my life, and I think I finally understand what it means to feel spiritually fulfilled. You know, I renew my life on a daily basis to the Lord and pray for His guidance, strength, and wisdom. And that's something that 2 years ago, even a year and a half ago, it would have been like, you're crazy, no way, that's not going to change anything. Wow. But it has, you know, it really has.
Wow.
And you know, to be honest, you know, my road has its ups and downs. I think all of our roads have ups and downs, peaks and valleys, you know, and challenges arise around every corner. I think, really, since taking these steps to be in control of my life, you know, I do the best to take these challenges head on, whereas in the past I would be a coward and run away. And I'm constantly working on being an honest man of integrity that my wife and kids can be proud of.
Wow.
I still struggle with my time management, and I still have challenges putting my wife second only to God, but it's something that I know I'm working on, and it's something that we bring to light all the time in our conversations here at home.
Wow.
And it's, you know, it's something I know that I get to grow on. I'm no longer ashamed of my past mistakes, and I work every single day reminding myself that I am more than my last failure, which is huge. I used to carry this cloud of I'm a failure because of X, Y, and Z. Yeah. I'm not. I'm here doing my best every single day now.
Amen.
And honestly, Dani, you know what? If you saw me today, you probably wouldn't recognize me. Another thing that's changed since I saw you in Dynasty, and our last Dynasty in November, really, was that I've lost 59.5 pounds.
Oh, my gosh!
Right?
No way!
And one of the reasons, honestly, this is so awesome for me is, like, for the last 15 years, I've been trying to lose weight. You know, I was always overweight, and I'd lose like 10 or 15 pounds, but then it would gain back. You know, it's a cycle that everybody hears about.
Yeah.
I've never really had the determination and commitment or the faith that I have now. You know, the faith that I can do it, the belief in myself that I can do it. You know, I ran half marathon, the LA Marathon.
No way!
Yeah, it was pretty cool. You'd never think I'd have a commitment to see it through, but I did.
Wow.
I ran for it was great, you know. I ran for this organization called Team World Vision. This I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's an organization that supplies clean water to third world countries.
Amen.
And educates them on how to, like, what hygiene is all about.
Yes.
You know, and to me, this is something that in the past I would have never cared about. You know, this is something that I just was always like, whatever, that's their problem, not mine. I'm over here. I make money. That's their problem.
Wow.
Since plugging in and since really listening to the message over and over, I have this huge heart now for the poor. You know, I really get it that there's more to my purpose of making money than just to feed that gluttony. Like in all my years of making money, I was always selfish and frivolous with my spending. I didn't care. My money. I can do what I want. But since August, you know, my wife and I really decided to make that decision to start tithing, which is really scary for us because although we made good money, we were living paycheck to paycheck. You know? We made a commitment to do it for 6 months, even if it meant moving into a smaller home or cutting any of other things, other expenses that we're spending on. We went on faith, knowing that He'll provide, and honestly, boy, did He ever. This is a story that I hear time and time again. You know, since August, we've had steady work coming in, and since Dynasty, our businesses have all exploded. You know, even so much so that on February 14th, we moved into a new 7,000 square foot space that's more incredible than we ever dreamed of.
Wow.
We were able to put all of our different locations into one, and we're all in a central location now. And God's provided us more favor than we had ever imagined. We've gone on faith, and He said yes.
Wow.
In my head, I keep hearing over and over. There's these times in trainings where I hear, ask, and people say yes. And I never used to ask. I never used to believe I can just ask and it'll happen. And I've given myself over, and really just said, there's more to life than working and just working for what? I felt like I was always a hamster running this cage. I never got anywhere.
Yeah.
And now I feel like by giving back, I feel like by plugging in, I feel like by realizing there's a bigger picture, I'm a piece of the puzzle to this bigger picture. My life has really just transformed into something that I never thought it would be. And it continues to grow every day.
Yeah.
Really
Marcelo, your story is just amazing, and there's so many different things, different facets to it that I want to make sure that someone doesn't miss. Now, first of all, you said that in the very beginning, before you guys tapped into First Steps to Success, and wow, thank God for your wife, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Jeez. I mean, could you imagine had she did not persist with you and nearly badger you to come to First Steps to Success? You were about to end in divorce. And tell me, if that would have happened, you would have lost your family, and you said, due to my addictions and my secret life and all of my lies, and of course, working 80 hours a week because that's what you thought you had to do in order to earn the income that you loved making. What do you think would have happened to you had you not come to First Steps to Success?
I know I definitely wouldn't be in this beautiful home with this beautiful family right now. I would have definitely lost everything. I would have lost my wife and my beautiful 2 little girls. I would have lost my home. I would probably be living in an apartment, and I would be back into my addiction. I made some decisions in the past that were not the smartest decisions, and I found my way into, drugs and alcohol, and I would have been back down that road.
Yeah.
I would have absolutely been back down that road.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something that would have just...
It would have taken your life. I mean, if that's the road you were going to go down, it definitely would have tried to claim your life. This is Dani Johnson. You have to know that you're one decision away from either great success or unbelievable failure. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Go to DaniJohnson.com to find out about our next live event, First Steps to Success in Orlando, Florida. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do with your life? Discover your own answer. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
You never ever know when your life is about to turn for the better and or for the worst. How we handle our current set of circumstances really determines where we go in life. This is Dani Johnson. The Dani Johnson Show is here every single day of the week to give you content answers, advice, as well as inspiration to change your life and to make the appropriate changes that need to be made in every area of your life. Joining me right now from Torrance, California is Marcelo. He's a married man who is about to lose his beautiful wife and his 2 daughters. He was a workaholic, struggling, overweight, in debt, hated God, he said, hated church, hated Christians. His wife begged him to come to First Steps to Success. Since that time, his entire life is completely different. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have struggles. Struggles is a part of success. If you're not having any struggles, get ready. Some are about to come. And they are there to test us. They are there to refine us. They are there even to strengthen us. And that's exactly what Marcelo has learned in his life. Now they have a very successful business. In fact, Marcelo, the business that you guys have, can you explain a little bit about that real quick?
My wife and I run a nonprofit theater company.
Yep.
That we produce musicals here in the community, and my wife really it's more just about the song and dance, the show that everybody goes and sees. We've really created a community of a family, a lot like the Dani Johnson family, where we spend time together, we nurture each other, we grow with each other, we become friends with other families. We're creating this safe place where, so also often, arts education gets pulled out of school all the time.
Yeah.
It's the first thing out of the school system.
Yeah.
And it's a place now where not only do like the people that don't fit into the jocks or the popular cliques have a place to go to, but it's a place that, we're working on instilling confidence, exploring creativity in ways that are safe. Encouraging respect and responsibility, teaching personal accountability, forging lifelong relationships, transforming lives in a way that really only arts can.
I appreciate what you guys have done too. You guys have brought a bunch of your students. I remember at one point 50 people you and your wife had brought to First Step Success, and majority of them were your students of your theater group. That was amazing to me. I was like, man, these guys are really, really about the next generation. Now let's get back to the beginning stuff of your story, because you said years ago you had an addiction to drugs and alcohol. What drove you in that direction of drugs and alcohol?
I lost my dad at the age of I believe I was 19, and that was really it was a big wedge for me to just kind of self-medicate. I was in a place where I didn't want to share my feelings with people, and I turned to alcohol. And then shortly thereafter, I started working on the road and traveling with rock and roll bands as a quote unquote roadie. And I spent about 10 years of my life doing that, and that really just opened the door to just filth. It led me down a path of just lots of drugs, lots of alcohol,
women,
objectifying women. I looked at women as objects, and they were my playthings, and I lost respect for the beautiful thing that a woman is. And then I lost my mom in 2005, and it was definitely that was like the nail that sealed the coffin for me. That was when I finally gave up on God. I finally gave up on what a relationship was, because the only woman I really loved was taken away from me by brain cancer.
Wow.
And I was done. I literally lost everything. At the time I was married to my wife, but I couldn't connect with her. At the time I didn't feel safe, and I continued to turn to drugs and alcohol, and I lied to her about it, and I lived a life of deceit for so long. I struggled with pornography for a long time, and I used that as a way to just kind of make things okay. But it didn't matter. No matter what I did, it was just putting a Band-Aid on the wound. And it was a wound that just kept gushing and gushing, and I would just put bigger Band-Aids on it. And I no matter how hard I tried, I never was able to beat it. I was never able to just finally release myself of that, and it wasn't until I finally turned myself over to God and to something bigger, and to realizing that I have to do the work.
Yes.
I think so many times in my life it was I'm gonna go to practice for 5 or 6 times and then expect to to be like this amazing ball player or something like that. It's a daily renewal. It's a daily commitment, having to do the work. That's really gotten me where I'm at today.
Yes, man, that is so powerful and so true, because you know the numbers. You've been through, I don't know how many first steps in creating a dynasty events with us, and I'm sure you've, listened to lots of the materials that we have at DaniJohnson.com, but I say this all the time, 98% of the population ends up dead or dead broke by the age of 65, depending on their family, friends, and federal government for their main source of income. Why? Why is that the case when we've got so much education in our country and we live in the land of opportunity, and yet most of the people are going to end up dead or dead broke at 65. And part of that reason is because we have created such the Disneyland version of success that says, oh, buy this lottery ticket, man, there you go. Or marry the right person. Boom, now you're going to live happily ever after. No, I say happily ever never, because that is not true. Everything that you want to have success in is going to take work. And what Marcelo just said that was so profound was, I'm going to go to 5 baseball practice and expect to be a major league ball player. Not happening. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. It takes work. And I love what you said, every day. Every day. But the important thing is, Marcelo, is to identify the places that you gotta work. And so here you were saying earlier, it's like you were living in lies. So you were hiding the drugs, hiding the pornography, hiding the alcoholism, hiding the spending, hiding your hatred or your disrespect towards women, hiding your hatred even towards God, the lack of relationship that you had there. And so when you finally come out, and you now tell the truth, and it now all of that self-destruction gets exposed. It's liberating. And then you can reach out and go, what do I need to fix? And what are the steps that it's going to take to fix this? And you had a lot of different things to fix, just as I had a lot of things to fix, just as so many of our other clients. Your story is very common in our clientele. It's very, very common inside the DaniJohnson.com community, where they are they come from these crazy backgrounds, and then they come out with it. And one thing I appreciate about you, Marcelo, is this. Look at your honesty. Look at your transparency. Look at that is humility, and that is righteousness right there. That is the essence of righteousness. And yet we have people who call themselves Christians and lovers of God, and they go to church, they listen to Christian music, they listen to people preaching, and yet they have this secret lying life of hiding all of this secret tormenting sin that's going on inside of them because they're afraid of being rejected. They don't feel like they're going to be loved. They don't feel like it's safe to say, if you really knew who I was, if you really knew the things that I do, then you really wouldn't love me. And unfortunately, that's true a lot of times. But you found and you came to a place where that community was safe. And it's amazing what happens when you tap into a safe community where you can grow and make new decisions, find new steps, and change every area of your life. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Stay right here for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
For families in Santa Pancha, Nicaragua, life is filled with fear and struggle. They don't have enough food for their kids, clean water is hard to find, and they're living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel on top of mining tunnels that could explode and sink at any moment. But a miracle is in the making, and you can be a part of transforming this village. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha to see how you can help. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org, and click on Santa Pancha. This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom, your family's freedom. Is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. This is The Dani Johnson Show.
Lost and messy. That's where Marcelo is no longer. Marcelo, I want you to talk to that man who is living the life that you were living prior to tapping into first steps to success, prior to coming to this place of being healed, set free, being delivered, losing 59 pounds, restoring the relationship with your wife, working on yourself every single day to keep your priorities straight, cutting back your work hours, being a real husband, being a real dad, more importantly, being a real son to the Father in heaven. And so I want you to talk to that guy who is living that secret life right now.
You know, that living a secret life is really hard. You know, I know that for me it was hard, but I fooled myself into thinking that it was easier than facing the truth. Yeah. And what I can honestly say now from being on the other side is that, you know what, sometimes the truth is hard, but it's so much more liberating. Yes. Knowing that I'm living a life of integrity, yes. Knowing that these challenges that I'm going through are making me a better person, yes. Knowing that the pain I feel is real, but this pain will heal and it will go away eventually. Yes. It makes it worth it every single time. Yes. If I had to do it all over again, I would take every step I did over again so I can be where I'm at right now today.
Amen. Amen.
I would make every poor decision I've done in the past to get me where I am today, because the life I have today is so radically different than it was before.
Yep.
I know people struggle. I know I struggled. I know I didn't want to believe it could change. I know I've done everything I could. It's just not going to happen. You know, and to that I say, you haven't tried this yet. And you haven't really, really committed yourself. Because I admit, I went to a handful of trainings. I listened to a handful of CDs for a while and kind of gave a half effort, you know, but half measures availed us nothing. You
That's
know,
right.
Until I've completely turned myself over, until I've completely given myself to changing who I am,
yes,
it's never going to work.
That's right. You know? That's right.
All
That's right.
All of those who think that it's just not for me.
Yep.
You know, you just don't know. You don't know until you really, honestly, do the work.
Yep.
And then realize, there's a point in life where I get to turn around and say, I've done it.
Yes.
I did the hard work.
Yes.
Here I am.
Yes. And that in itself is also very liberating. That's the bottom line. That in itself, coming forward and telling the truth about what's going on in your life is liberating. Facing the fears is liberating. And following through with steps and strategies and coming on the other side is liberating. It takes work. It takes work to lie. It takes work to have an addiction. It takes work for all of those things. But here you just heard a man who is overcoming, and that's so exciting to me. Well, that's it for us today. First Steps to Success is the event that you need to go to. Tap in now. God bless you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
This has been the Dani Johnson Show. Did you hear that last segment? Do you know someone else who needs to hear it? Go to DaniJohnson.com, find today's show, and share it online.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.